All right, so now this is the next step in editing your audio. Imported our audio, we equalized it, and now we are going to apply compression. So for compression, that is also an effect. So again, what you want to do is make sure that your audio, your content is selected. You go over here, click this, and then now we're going to go to Effect, and now we're going to look for Compressor. The same as equalization, when you guys open up your compressor, more than likely it's going to look like this. So it's going to say negative 12 dB, negative 40 dB, which is decibels, 2.2 to 1, all this, and all this is this is the default. This is how Audacity comes. This is the default compressor. What we want to do is we want to change these settings just a little bit. So the first thing we're going to change is the threshold. So the way a compressor works is it is evening out all of the audio that's coming into your microphone. So all the audio that you recorded. A compressor is there to try to make everything even. So if you have a part in your podcast where you talk really loud, your compressor is there to help bring that down. And it's also there to help bring up some of the lower sounds. So say you were talking really loud and then you started talking really quiet. The compressor is a tool to help make all of that balanced so that the people who are listening to your podcast don't have to turn their volume up and down. They don't have to do that. They can just set it and just sit and listen. So what we want to do is we want to set the threshold to negative 15 dB or decibels. And so what this means is if anything gets above negative 15 decibels, which is around here, your compressor is going to kick in. It's going to start working and it's going to push and squash that audio so that it becomes more even. The next thing that we're going to do is go to ratio. And so your ratio is how strong or how severe the compressor or the squashing down is going to affect your audio. So the first thing, we're going to go threshold, negative 15 dB. Then we're going to go to ratio, and we want to set our ratio to 2.5 to 1. So now these are just default, generic, standard settings that I found to work pretty consistently for most audio. If you want to adventure out and play with these things to see if it works best for you in your voice, feel free to do so. But my recommendation is to start out with these default settings to help you produce a good quality podcast for the first time. So after we set our ratio, we can leave everything else exactly the way it is. You can leave this at 0.20 seconds. You can leave this at 1 second. And you can even leave this box checked, makeup gain for 0 dB after compressing. So what that does is after your audio has been compressed, this effect, this processing is going to push the audio back up to a good level. So once you have all of these things set, now we're going to go and hit OK. Now if you see, the waveform or the audio got squashed. So now everything looks more even. Here, let me undo it so you can see. So I'm going to undo compressor. See all of these higher peaks, higher volume? When you use the compressor, it makes everything more even. Like that. So when people listen, they don't have to touch their volume knob up and down trying to adjust. All right. So we've equalized, we've compressed. Now we're going to move on to the next step in producing or podcasting, which is the editing process. And so we're going to be editing the heads and tails of the podcast, gaps and silences, and any mess ups that you may have.